Welcome to our knowledge session on reporting and BI. We will be covering what BI is, when and why you need it, the BI model, visualization tools and Jet Analytics. So let's get into the session.
The key component to any reporting and BI solution is data. Previously data was very sparse, often in isolated areas such as ERP system, Excel spreadsheets, online data. However, in today's world, we capture more data than we've ever caught and are catching them before. As a stat, since 2018, or as of 2018, 2.5 quintillion bytes of data are now created every day, and obviously are continuing to grow as we are now in 2019. But just to give you an idea of how much data that is, obviously that's a lot. But in comparison, that 90% of that data was generated in the last 2 years. So it goes to show how much data we are capturing, whether that be ERP systems, whether that be Internet of Things, whether that be external data sources. There is so much data out there now that's being captured, and it's about modeling that data, which is where the data analytics and BI and reporting come in for, especially around NAV, because it's about enhancing that information and that data and modeling it for insights that can then obviously drive actions. But often previously data was not accessible. It can be time consuming. So getting data from different connectors like your ERP system in SQL, cloud-based solutions like Google Analytics, social media, flat files. But from combining these systems, you are providing greater insights. So using the data and modeling it, for instance, you can combine the weather data with sales data, and you can start to analyze and review certain patterns that may occur, such as if it's a sunny on the weekend, typically sales are increased, whereas if it's raining, you obviously see a decrease. This obviously then provides greater insight, and it allows analysts within the business to become proactive rather than reactive. So you can then proactively forecast and proactively provide resource in adequate areas where that demand's going to be high. As such, increase sales, but also keeping customers happy in the basis that you're now satisfying the demand that is coming into the business. When and why do I need BI? The drivers for BI are often when reports of the transactional system are slow, takes minutes to hours to load a report. Here, because the volume of data that is processing is not as efficient as, say, a data warehouse or cubes, which scale large volumes of data in pre-modeled fashion. So, for instance, if you wanted to see sales for a promotion, you will have this modeled in a data warehouse, or you will have that modeled in a cube, in a sales cube, that you can then slice and dice. Multiple data sources. With a data warehouse, you have the ability to combine different data sources, such as bring in ERP sales data in, bring in Google Analytics data in, bring in flat files in, bring in other systems in, whether that be database format or access database, online third-party systems. You can combine all that data and mold that into pre-modeled cubes if you're using analysis services within the Microsoft BI platform. Also, you'd wish to provide historical dimension analysis. So when, from a sales manager perspective, as an example, if I look after a region in the southwest, but I then change to the northwest, I still want to see my performance as a whole, as an individual, as to what I was like when I was in the southwest and when I was in the northwest. To provide that, you need to have configuration within a data warehouse to then historically track attributes on a dimension and as to the dates and ranges as to when they change, providing greater insight. So you can see the performance of when I was performing it in the Southwest and what I am like in the Northwest. Also, a requirement to structure data. Often the case is you can extract data directly from NAV. Problem is, you then need to do a lot of manipulation to model this data. So rather than repeat that process time and time again, the requirement is to have data that's extracted from NAV or any other system and structure that data for reporting and analytics. So it's done once, but distributed many times to all the users that need to have that information. One centralized data source, for that being from a reporting perspective, I go to the data warehouse or I go to the sales cube, and that is where the one version of the truth is always retrieved from. If you have a metric for sales on a Monday, you know that everyone is looking at the same metric for sales on a Monday, rather than having filtered Excel spreadsheets or custom silo reports that are ran elsewhere, where suddenly sales on a Monday does not equal to sales from a Monday from other departments. It also increases security because you have the data under a database, which is obviously secure. You also have the cubes, which are, again, from a security perspective, and locked down. And also you've got like the solution if you're using tools like Power BI, which again also is by user basis if you're using Power BI Pro. In terms of the BI model, we start at the bottom with data sources. So the first part of your BI model is to understand the data and the data requirements within the business. For instance, you won't bring in every single table that you have in NAV. Predominantly, you don't need every single table that's in NAV because there are some setup tables that you don't need. There are some tables that hold information that are not used for reporting. But it's understanding the data first and then understanding the sources and bringing those sources into the data warehouse. But in doing so, you need to understand the data to then model that data, to then provide that with structure for that data to go into the data warehouse. So the two key components are understanding the data, but also bringing those data sources in and using the second step of modeling that data and providing structure that will aid analysis within the business for reporting and also aid analysis for using tools such as Power BI to connect to predefined data sets that are housed either in the data warehouse or reporting cubes that fundamentally reduce development time, allows users to do ad hoc analysis, whether that be from a sales cube, a finance cube, or a bespoke cube. You can connect different cubes to within Power BI. Fundamentally, though, the data warehouse will house